Hey guys, SE Spotter here, and I thought I'd try something different. This will not be a regular thing because I do not have an actual mic. You are listening to me through the mic that's in the computer or the laptop, and it is not very good, unfortunately. So, and I'm also having problems with the actual AV jack for the mic. So, I'm not going to be able to do this on a regular basis, unfortunately. But I thought I'll give you guys a little bit of a lesson on how to draw a simple character, more of a caricature than an actual real life type drawing. So as you can see, I've already got the basic shape of the face created. This is just a template to go by so we know where to put everything. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that, just as long as you have a basic idea. Now, this line going down the center, that is, well, almost the center, that is the center line. And it is curved to remind me as to which way I have the character or want the character to face. And since I want him to face to our left, I have the curve of the line curving toward the left. The line that's horizontal, that's a horizontal line, of course. Duh. And I have it tilted downward, or curved downward, to let me know I want his head to be tilted downward slightly. This is also a line that helps remind me as to where to put the eyes. At the base of the eyes, usually lie on this line. So I'm going to try and record this with audio. You hear some sounds, that's because I'm getting, trying to get in position. You might hear the mouse move around a little bit also. So this one, I'm not going to say who this, actually I'm going to go ahead and say it. We're going to go ahead and try to draw the Joker from Batman. Now, the Joker has changed a lot over the years, from being somewhat realistic looking, but as a character, as a person, to looking flat out cartoonish. And normally that would be a bad thing, but with the Joker, it actually works. So we're going to try to create something in between. So, yeah, just keep in position. There we go. So to see, try to stay as comfortable as possible. Now, in case you're wondering, I am using a very old, I do mean very old, Wacom Sapphire pen and tablet. CTE-430 model or /B model. Now this thing I've only been using for about probably 6 months now, and I'm not able to use it to a great extent. I've had this for, well, I bought this for $100 about probably 20 years ago. I had to save up to get it, but the computer I had at the time could not handle it. And over the years, the installation disk went missing, found it, got scratched up, stopped working, got it working again, then lost it again, found it again, lost it, never found it. And no matter which computer I had, it just would not work like I needed it to. It would not have any of the features that it's supposed to have. But on this computer, I'm able to find a, let's see, if I can bring it up. I got a Bamboo installation program, which is also from Wacom. And I installed that, hoping it would fix it, and it does give me some options. So as you can see over here, it does go to a point which lets me know that there is pin pressure. Unfortunately, there's no tilt or any of the other features that I would love to have. So it's just pin pressure, and that's about it. Oh, and I can't map it to the actual screen. So when I take my mouse off and move to the top, it jumps back up like an actual sheet of paper. Unfortunately, this tablet is got a plastic cover on it that is very, very slick, and it's not roughed up like actual paper at all. There's only one tip for this pen, and it is not a very good one. It's got a little button. It's got a button on it that allows me to right click. Oops, did not want to do that. It allows me to either hold down the button and do it that way, or to right click and do it that way. I use that mostly if I want to resize it. Then I can hold down Alt on the keyboard, right click and resize. See? So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, I cannot go into actual painting like I would like to, and I'll probably need an actual up-to-date version, probably an actual Bamboo or something. But I would much rather have something that's a Cintiq of some type, because then I can just look at the screen and go from there. I'm just not used to looking at the screen and moving the pen around. Very awkward, at least for me. But that's enough about me and my issues with my tablet. I'm running Photoshop CS6 on Windows 8.1, and yeah, this is the Toshiba Satellite C55-A model, which was actually given to me. I'm very thankful for that. But let's get to the drawing. So first thing, as you can see, like I said before, I've already got the basic outline. I got them in groups, so I can actually make changes and got the opacity down to 26, so I can actually see what I'm doing. So let's get started. Actually, let me change the mouse. Oops. Okay. Now, I'm going to write this down. So let's see. And this is just going to be in basic lines so I can get an idea of what I want to do. So, I know I want an eye over here, and I know I want an eye over here. Now, like you can see, it's kind of cartoony right now, and that is fine. I should consider what I want to do. I'm going to put down the basic lines. So, like I said, this is to help you learn how to draw. So, I'm just doing a lot of steps in this process. So, now I want him this. Say I want the light. He comes from over here. So that's just a reminder. So now I want him to have a nose, of course. Now the thing about the Joker is he has a very pointy nose. He has a very large nose in some cases. Sometimes it goes out like this. Well, not quite like that. Sometimes it's going out like that. Sometimes it's actually going out like this. There's a lot of different ways you can actually draw the Joker. So, however you want. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, bring down my mouse on cursor size. And what I'll do first, what I'll do is determine what I want his eyebrows to be. Like what kind of expression do I want him to have. So he loves to smile, and usually when he smiles, he actually gives an angry look, a frown. It's a wicked frown. So his eyebrows, or eyebrow line goes really high up at the top for the end. So the same thing over here. Now you notice I made this one thinner. That's because I've got it angled. I want to be able to be angled so it's not going to see the entire thing. Now another thing to keep in mind is, make a new layer so I can do this. When you do eyebrows, do not have one go down like this and another one go like this. That's not realistic at all. That's very incredibly cartoony. The reason for that is if you look in the mirror yourself, you'll find out if you put one eyebrow down, if you can do this, or anybody for that matter, you put the other one up, it's always hooked like this. Because this muscle in the middle is always connected. You cannot disconnect that. So just keep in mind, whenever you want to do eyebrow expressions, you want them to be surprised, always have it like this, or sad, like that. Let me erase this so you can see. These two eyebrows are always connected right in the center. So, same thing if you want to frown, it's got to be that, it's got to be happy, like that, so forth. Oops. Okay, that was just a quick lesson. Had nothing to do with this actual drawing. It's just something I wanted to point out. I see a lot of people make mistakes like that. Even cartoon characters don't need to be doing that. It just does not make sense. And it does not look natural. I used to do that, and people always say there's something off about it. I did not know what it was. Until I figured it out. I learned what it was. Okay, so you've got where we want his eyebrows to be for the expression. Now, I want to determine where I want to put his nose. Of course, his nose is going to be in the center. So just put a little line right there. The eyebrows can be very close, but there's always muscle in between. So how do I want to draw his nose? Let's go for a cartoonish look. Let's make it wide at the top of the bridge. And then this is actually just the bridge of the nose. And just make it thin. And then bring it back out. It's very cartoony, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I might make changes to it, so all this is just a rough draft anyway. Of course, we got the nostrils right there. But you notice I don't have it tilted at all. So one thing I'm going to do is grab the lasso tool. So I do it on different layers. Okay, let's see. It still looks somewhat not tilted, but it's close enough for my wants. I'll go back. Like I said, this is just a basic outline. And so I can always make changes to it without worry. Because his head is tilted, the nostrils going to come closer to the front. Something like that. That'll work. Now you notice it's not very big. So they don't want it big, too big in this case, otherwise it'll just dominate the entire image. Now you might think, oh, his eyes are awfully big. Well, that's because I've not finished yet. Those are just eye sockets, to be honest. Actually, that part should be a bit closer. Now, what kind of expression do I want him to have? Do I want him to be smiling? Do I want him to be frowning? Do I want him to be smirking? What do I want him to do? And being a Joker, I'm going to the traditional route because it's easier and more common. So it'll be easier for people to recognize who it is. I want to give him a smile. Now, know exactly how I want him to smile. I need to know exactly where his cheekbones are going to be. So Joker tends to have very large cheekbones. So I want him to pretend like he doesn't have a skin right now. And just give myself an idea as to where his cheekbones are. Okay, that lets me know exactly where the muscles will go and so forth. So now because his head is tilted, his mouth is going to look like it's awfully close to his nose. So let's do a line for the top lip. It's just basic line, so don't worry if it don't look right. Now I'll determine where I want that muscle to be for crease, goes from the nose to the edge of the mouth. With the Joker, I can actually exaggerate that quite a bit. And now I want to determine where his teeth are going to go. Now, I want to also determine how big I want his smile to be. Being a Joker, you gotta have a very large smile. This would not look right if he didn't. So, I'm going to make it look like his mouth is open. And draw a line for the bottom lip. Now, your lip mouth is open. And forcing a smile or something. Sometimes the corners kind of dip down. Not always, but it just looks cooler if you draw like that. I've noticed some mistakes, so I'll flip the pen around and erase that. So I forget to actually remember where I have him tilted. So because I have his head tilted, smile's going to come in a bit more. And this I'll go out a little bit more. And so I'm going to put down a basic outline of where I want his teeth to be. One thing to keep in mind is the top teeth is always longer than the bottom teeth. And being a Joker, I'm going to exaggerate the size of his teeth quite a bit. Just base line. Okay, we get the canine. And I might have the canine in that mouth. And now I'm going to draw the muscle for his lip. I'm going pretty slow on this tutorial because I know a lot of tutorials that people do tend to be kind of fast. probably a lot better done than this one. So, but I'll just go for what I can do. Now, if I was going to keep the cartoon look, this mouth would be fine. But if I wanted to actually give it more realistic look, I can add the bottom lip. So everybody has a lip that kind of sticks out a little bit. And because this is Joker, I want to make sure you can see that lip. Because he's got a red makeup on, so, or lipstick in some comic books. So you want to be able to see that lipstick. On the top, you don't have to worry about it too much because it's angled down. Okay, now this is where the mouth attaches to the actual cheekbones. So I'm going to draw a line over here. We know where that cheekbone is, and then we know where the actual muscle would be. And then draw a line there. Now this is being stretched, so you add stretch lines. And then also determine where the jaw is going to be. Now, depending on which version of the Joker you're looking at, or referencing on, you got a normal chin, or you have a very pointy chin, or a round chin that kind of sticks out. So we're going to give him a fairly round but pointy chin. So I'm going to put down a basic outline of where I want that chin to be. I want it to curve up a little bit too. So I'm going to leave it on the side over here. Normally it'll be over here somewhere, but I'm going to put it over here. So I want it to actually curve. And actually that's a little bit too small, so bring it out a little bit more. And do this and bring it up. Put down the jawline and curve that in. So basically we have the chin, mouth, nose, eyes, placement, cheek lines, the smile, and where we want the jawline to be. We can line that up with the teeth. And then we'll curve it out. Because if you feel your own jaw, you can sometimes, depending on your facial structures, you feel that a little bit of indent. So that's what that is. I just exaggerate it quite a bit. Now for his actual ears. We got relatively normal ears, but sometimes it's drawn to be pointy. So I'm going to make mine a little bit pointy, and I'm also going to give him a loop at the end of his ears, so you can't really see it, so I'm not going to worry about it. Put down the basic outline of his brow on this side. Now the Joker's got a hairline that's very distinct. If you look at pictures of Jack Nicholson as the Joker, or even Heath Ledger as a Joker, you see there's a little bit of a brow line that points inward from outward to a tip. And a lot of people have this, so it's nothing uncommon, and it looks a lot better on the Joker than a regular just flat out line. So we'll go to the center line, just a little bit off at this moment. Yeah, that's off. So I'll go ahead and off to the center line. Then I'll follow it like it should have. So the new center line is actually right about here. So I want him to have a fairly large brow. But when you squint down, when you bring your eyebrows down, so a lot of times you also bring down the brow, because all that skin is a very tight skin. So You bring this down, the tip of the hairline is going to come down too, for the center. Some people, when they do this, it pushes the hairline up. It all depends on how their muscle structure is set up. But for Joker, I want him to have a fairly large brow, so I want to keep it upward some. And then just go to the curve. Now Joker tends not to have sideburns or anything, so I'm just cut that off right there at the ear. Here's the details for the ear. And remembering where I have the sunlight, so I want to move that for now. Lasso tool, move it to the corner. And you might be wondering, why have we not done anything with his eyes yet? I tend to leave the eyes last if possible. I mean, also because it's a tutorial, so the eyes is what helps tell the character of the story. You can see a person's soul through the eyes, as they say. So that's what I'm trying to do. So this determines, actually we'll zoom back out. How do I want to draw his hair? I'll make a new layer so I can do some practice. Now, Joker tends to have a hair that sticks out, kind of like Superman, but a lot further exaggerated. So we can go like this and make it a little bit squiggly. His hair is actually very well maintained for the most part, because I have it parted one way. On the which direction you look at him, it's always parted away from the face. So I'm going to do a basic outline for the center of the hair, and basic outline for the back. It doesn't have to be perfect, of course, but his hair is never supposed to be perfect because he's a crazy person. So you're going to have strands all over the place. But most of it's actually fairly well combed. So keep that over here. Comb it. Now, because he's crazy, he's going to have strands. You bring that back up a bit. And I can hide this layer now because I don't need it. So I'll zoom back in. And I want to determine how many wrinkles I want them to have. The other tends to have a lot of wrinkles. So since I'm going to keep a cartoonish look to him, I'm not going to use a whole lot. Just enough to show that he's got some brows. And maybe a couple lines here. Show that the skin is tight. Don't forget about the little bunching up skin in the middle. The part you take his hairline, push it back a little bit further. now comes the fun part. Well, let me go back. No, let's go back to it. We're going to do the eyes now. Now you want him to be looking at the camera, well in this case looking at the viewer. So you got to determine where you want to put the eyes. I'm going to make a new layer so I can do this. Okay. So now you want the eyes to be center of this one because it's closer to the camera. This one's going to be a little bit off center. Zoom back out. Make sure he's looking at me no matter where I move my head. It kind of feels like he's staring at me, which is great. Exactly what I wanted. Now, with the Joker, oops, too far. With the Joker, you want to keep his eyes kind of tiny for his pupils, because you want him to have the beady eyes. So, I'm going to make sure I know how big I want them to be. Okay. Now, back on the other layer. I'll just erase some of this. Oops, too lazy. I don't want to do that. There you go. Eraser tool. Erase these sockets. Because I don't need them anymore. Just need a general idea as to where they are. Let's put the opacity down a little bit without adding much pressure. So now, because he's smiling, he's going to be pushing some muscle up over his eye. So since I want him to look somewhat old, keep in mind where his cheekbone is. Buzz right there, another one right here. And this one here is actually going to be his bottom eyelid. Keeping in mind his head is perfectly tilted, so you don't see much. I want to add some wrinkles here as well, and then determine how if I want him to be squinting or not. And it's just kind of freaky with big, wide open eyes. So let's see what it would look like if we actually added some eyelids. Use it more a little bit, and it's more natural. It doesn't look like he's looking at the camera, the viewer anymore. It looks more like he's looking up here somewhere. So I'm going to take the lasso tool and move the eye position. Highlight, see what I'm doing. And that one little eye seems to have helped. Do that. Let me deselect that. That's a tool. Put this eye right in, and do the same thing. See, that's the difference. If you add eyelids greatly determines where he's looking. So keep that in mind. It's one reason why you want to make sure you try to do the eyes last, or at least the pupils, and the eyelids. So deselect that. So I know exactly where his eyes are now. Ooh, that's kind of freaky. So let's go back in. That was weird. So now that we know where his eyelids are, we want to put in the rest of his eyelids. But keep in mind that this brow is coming down, so that's going to be cutting that off right there. Put a few weeks there. Same thing over here. Look, and then we go tear duct. And I'll just put a little line, at least I do, show where the socket is. These are just little lines to help remind myself of certain things. So especially how we do his head. I'm not going to go through doing the body because that's more boring. I'm going to show you how to do the neck at least. Now, these are very skinny characters, so we're going to give them a very thin neck. First, we got to determine how long we want it to be. Keeping in mind the angle that we have wanted his head doesn't seem to quite work anymore, so keep that in mind. Curve that out. A little bit longer. Put that a little bow tie. He doesn't wear bow ties, I don't think. Basic outline, basic instructions on how to draw a choker. Now, I'm going to take all these layers, group them, and bring the opacity down quite a bit. Create a new layer, switch to black. Now I will try to zoom it in so I can do this. Try to go in and create the actual finish lines. few things I want to point out. First off, I can draw a lot better than this on pencil and paper. Like I said, I just get used to this tiny tablet, which only gives me a workspace of 4 by 6. And being so old and not up to date and not having all the features is just a pain. That's why one of the reasons you saw me, make sure I got this right. Okay. One of the reasons you saw me just draw lines like this is because I don't have a very steady hand, and I cannot change the settings on this pen to allow me to actually keep it smoother. So that I go slow. Usually I go a lot slower than that. But thing is, I just can't quite do it with this pen tablet. I would love to just draw flat out lines, but no matter how many times I do that same line, it never goes in the same spot. Now, one of the things I do when I want to actually use this for actual selling or for my portfolio or whatnot, what I would normally do is I would actually go in, grab the pen tool, create a few points, exactly where I want it to be. Now, say I made a mistake. If I wanted to, I just hold down Alt, I can move that handle. I don't want to do that, so. Now this seems like a slow process, but it actually takes me less time to do this than it would to actually draw it, at least with this tablet. Oops. So I'm going to move that up. Move that up so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'll make selection, and then I just fill it in. If you fill it in twice. You can see that line is a lot better than the one underneath it. Another thing I could have done back in is I can give that line on path where it is. Then I made a selection. Taking the brush, make it big enough to actually do something. Fill it in, make sure it's completely filled in. Then I can take the pen tool again, right click, excuse me, or key tool, right click, hit select inverse. That will select everything on the outside of that path. You can see the lines over here. Then I would take the eraser tool. But I wonder if my layer might help. And then I can just erase what I did not want from that line. Change the size of the brush or the eraser. Give me more control. That way I don't accidentally erase something I don't want to erase. a much smoother line. Or I could just use the pen tool and just do it that way as well, which is a lot smoother than this mess over here. But another reason I was doing it like this is because I'm trying to go fast. So I'm not planning on using this for anything other than this little tutorial. Another thing option is you can take the lasso tool, which is very useful, and if you got a down quick enough hand or think you can do it, you can just deselect that first. Lasso tool, and then just take, what in the world? Oh, okay, oops. Now, take the lasso tool, create a line, then you can just know which line you want to use, fill it in, then take the eraser tool and quickly erase what you don't want, and you have a fairly decent quick version of what I just did, but it's not very smooth, as you can see. Just have more control with the pen tool. And of course, I mean, I've got an entire pen tool tutorial that I made about 10 years ago, I think. Could have been less than that, but yeah, that's basically it. Yep. Got a very annoying voice because I cannot change it. But yeah, that's how you draw the Joker, or a very lousy looking version of him. But just key things to keep in mind is his eyebrows tend to go kind of far out and kind of look pretty menacing. Now another thing I want to point out is that remember, when you draw somebody's eyes or eyelids, always make it thicker at the top. This way, because everybody has eyelashes, so you just want to make sure you indicate that. You don't have to draw like no frills or individual lashes like that. That just looks weird, unless it's a girl. Now Joker loves his smile. He takes pride in it, so he takes fairly decent precautions to make sure his teeth look good. But if you want a character to look more menacing, try screwing up their teeth a little bit. Like I made this one crooked and got this one pushed out to the side and got another one growing in behind it. So a lot of people have teeth like that, and that's not making them bad people or anything like that. It's just it's just not attractive, to be honest. And unfortunately, nobody has perfect teeth, unless they're fake or they had a lot of dental work done. But yeah, that's it. So we went from, oops, let me do this real quick. Oh, another thing you can try to do is make eyes even smaller. So if you want to, you select eye, go down Shift and Alt, select both corners, so the eye stays in the same spot. This one I'm not going to do that. Just go down Shift. Smaller the eyes, the more evil they seem, or more crazy. Now, this thing about the Joker is his general face can be used for other characters. Like this could be the Hobgoblin, or Green Goblin, or the Hobgoblin from Spider-Man, or a number of other characters. What makes the Joker is mostly his hair and his makeup, which we can do a little bit of that real quick. But I hope you find this useful. I'll put this on my this image as is up on my DevonArt page, which you can find at sespiderproductions.com. Or if you're on YouTube, you can go to my channel and click on the DevonArt thumbnail. Or just simply go to devonart.com/sespider with a capital SE. If you enjoyed this, and this is SE Spider signing out, and catch you guys later. God bless.